Hello, everybody. It's Jeff again on Hype. I am so glad you joined us. We have Colin Powell back, our healthcare advocate again. Welcome, Colin.
Hello, everyone.
And we have a whole string of questions, and I know you're going to do rapid fire with us, so I'm just going to tee you up and let you go because I know you've got a lot of stuff to say. So please tell us your story on COVID and blood plasma and the difference between the two and all the different facts that I think you need to address that I'm just shocked that either people didn't know and or I didn't know. But I'm excited to get your answers so we can clarify some of the stuff that really the general public is uneducated on.
Terrific. And yes, again, thank you for having me. This is going to be probably one of my favorite ones. And again, I think that we're going to continue to expand on this because we have a lot of information that I am finding that you guys are asking that does, but I'm hoping that by answering these questions, they will lead to some others. So some of the big questions that you guys have asked that I'm really excited to address. And it's going to still going back to the blood plasma and COVID and actual blood in general. So again, there's a difference in blood and plasma, and then there's platelets, and we haven't even addressed platelets yet. So let's discuss that really quick. And what I'm going to do is literally I'm answering your questions, and I'm just going to do my best. And again, these are not my answers; these are statistical, scientific answers that I am reading. Please fact check me if you find something wrong. Please let us know. Numbers are always changing, and I love that. But this is to the best of what we know in the scientific community. So again, these are the best questions that that have been asked, and let's just go down the list here. When we talked about blood platelets in a previous episode, someone contacted us about that. Okay, yeah. So every 15 seconds, someone in the U.S. needs a platelet transfusion. Interesting, right? Why is that important? Well, less than 1% of the US population has the AB negative blood, and that's where you get these platelets from. So right there, going back to the blood plasma and why that's important. Again, going back to every 15 seconds, someone in the US needs a platelet transfusion. So there's the importance of that. What is a platelet and why does it even matter? Well, we already discussed what the platelet is, but with how it affects with COVID right now, it's associated with the increased production of large immature platelets that respond to the increased platelet consumption. Interesting that we found this in because COVID is associated with increased numbers of immature platelets even at normal platelet counts. So what we're seeing here in regards to the platelets and why that's important, who needs platelets? Well, the platelets, that's what the babies and a lot of those folks right there, the platelets, that's the one that can save up to 3 to 12 patients' lives within particularly, like say, the AB negative, because that's this group that's asking. And okay, so the next question going down it is men or women who right now needs to be donating, who needs to be most aware, who needs to be most cautious. Well, blood is actually very tricky when it comes to men and women, excuse me, and that is for the AB negative, for example, going back to. I keep harnessing on that group, but we're going to go into all of them. But just because I want to keep this as a continuing string, AB negative women aren't necessarily allowed to donate. They are in certain circumstances. However, it is absolutely urgent and vital AB negative men do, and that's all because of pregnancy and birth because that actually changes your blood. So you're looking at even less of a population there. So if you are a woman and you're AB negative, yes, we still want you to donate. Yes, your blood is still very important. Yes, you are still very important. But we want to keep you safe. And if you're a man with AB negative, such as our presidents that are about to do this vaccination to develop this antibody, it is highly recommended that that you donate because your group just got knocked in half, right? Um, so we're looking at about 4% within the entire population. That's just AB general, 1% being AB negative. Again, going back to that, half of those being male and female. That's a pretty ridiculous, statistic right there that you guys just do need to be aware of. We're looking at, so what's the next question, Jeff? What do we have here? Okay. I think that the next one would be with COVID, some of the actual deaths that may be associated with incorrect blood plasma and or blood and plasma testing. Well, there isn't actually a statistic to say how many people have died from blood plasma, from getting the wrong plasma yet or the wrong blood. That is something that we're going to be seeing moving forward. And I also think that's why a lot of groups in preparation for this, other countries have been preparing. China did a great job, for example. For the past 4 or 5 years, they have done everything they can to get as much blood donations as possible. As a matter of fact, each year about 60% of their donations are all from first-time donors. So they have put a heavy focus on storage and capturing blood, and that is something that we as the American people have not done. Well, that does make a difference because the time frame of the blood actually changes. So you're actually looking at sometimes like 7 days for the blood to even remain good for some blood before it actually is no longer active. So why do you keep donating blood, and why is that important, and why do we keep harnessing that? Well, it's not good after a certain amount of time, but it can be used for other things then. So it is very important that we're constantly having a fair blood supply, but it's also very important that we're doing it correctly with the right testing and some of this, so that we know that we're safe, and developing our own standards and understanding of it. So a lot of these devices and different things that are coming out, what the people don't really quite understand is that there's all sorts of different levels of getting a test or something that is biologically a device, a drug, whatever it may be. They all fall into different categories, and they all have names like 510K, like whatever you want to call it. They all have just different names. And they're all very intense. Now, I will tell you that there are some loopholes into some of these, and we have seen that many groups have been using that in the past to perhaps get something to market quicker because there was a very much a demand for it, or maybe just straight out of laziness. I wasn't in the meetings, but you see it, and I think right now, like if we're looking at just going back to the 510K, uh, I think that there was 80,000 deaths, and was it, well, yeah, 80,000 deaths and 1.7 injuries in the last decade, from the 510K loophole they reported. And to get the 510K status, that means that it then becomes available to the market. So you can either do the 510K full process, or you can do in some of these sub processes, such as the EUA authorization versus approval. So all of these tests that we have right now have been authorized for emergency use, but not approved by the FDA. And people don't understand that. So going back to it, that's kind of like this 510K piece, which is very similar but different category. But they're all similar the same. But we're looking, 80,000 people. That's quite a lot of individuals, who of deaths, just from people taking shortcuts and hurrying things up. Again, we've already said that the average time from having the idea of something for it actually reaching the market is 17 years in healthcare's previous past, and yet we're doing stuff within 8, 6, 7, 8, 9 months. That's ridiculous. So I need everybody to, one, be aware that there is actually numbers supporting that there are death rates, and for doing this incorrectly, and know that there is a little bit of a rat race kind of out there, for people to come out with the next best thing. And the reason behind that is, essentially, and I really don't like this word, but there's really a kind of a monopoly of when it comes to a lot of these tests and a lot of these organizations, because they're the ones who have gotten the contract. So once they get the contract to produce 40 million whatevers, well, there's another 15 groups who are going to be fighting for that same spot for the next thing. And so everyone's fighting to come to market, and they aren't really talking about it because they don't want what other people to know. And they also know that right now we have a time to get emergency authorization, which is the fast track one, as we discussed here, as opposed to the approval piece. So people do need to be aware that there are dangers associated with this, and that just because your test says that you are negative, that could be wrong. And as a matter of fact, it could be you could be tested 3 different times and have 3 different results. You could be tested on 2 different tests and it both come up negative, and then you test another one and it says you're positive on something else. I mean, there's a lot of inconsistency in this, and again, it all comes back down to the blood plasma and some of that. So I hope I answered that question for you.
Absolutely.
Um,
And you were going to talking about donating. I know we're in an emergency situation, so tell us about the donation process and how other people can help and what people can do right now to actually make an impact if they're pre-COVID, post-COVID.
Okay, so yes, and thank you, Jeff. You would think that like I work for for a vampire or something. The amount I've been talking about, give us your blood. But the truth of the matter is that it's very very important. We need to be giving blood daily. Again, the blood doesn't last forever. It doesn't have a forever long shelf life. Even your red blood cells within your body, they after a certain amount of time they mature, and when they mature, they contain no nuclei, meaning they have no DNA in them. That's interesting. That is very, very interesting. It's like, so there's a lot of the different weird pieces again within the biologics that we're going to be sharing and further, but we have to cover these ground steps. So yes, you as the American people, you want to know what you can do to help, coming from not only the healthcare community, but also a lot of the these entities that are working to help you guys. That frankly, I'll tell you, some of these are the most amazing, most brilliant doctors in the world, yet they have a hard time carrying on a conversation. And so just think of me as kind of being a voice kind of for them, because it's not me talking about them. I'm talking on their behalf and I'm talking on your behalf, right? But so what I have heard from everybody and collectively within those who I feel like actually understand what's going on, you as the American public, you can help by doing 2 things: wear your mask and donate blood. We need you to donate blood as much as possible, plasma and blood, and we need to begin doing that on a somewhat regular basis and make that a piece of it. You're home for the holidays, set up an appointment. You can click over here. Some one of these things over here, I'm sure, is going to have a link, so you can find it, go to it, and we need you to do it as nearly as often as possible right now. And we need you to tell others about it, because if I want you to look at your spouse tonight, your child, maybe not your child, you probably maybe actually don't know as a parent, but go talk to your friend, ask them their blood type. They don't know, y'all go together. Maybe it won't be so scary. Have somebody to have fun with, right? And while you're sitting there, review some of this information, ask them some questions. They probably aren't going to know, right? Like it's really funny, but turn on the Hype Network. But that's what you can do. You, I want you as the American people to realize that you may not be able to do anything. You may be stuck in your house. You may not be able to go to work. You may not be able to go out on Friday night, whatever. But what you can always do is give blood and know that you could be saving hundreds of lives by doing so. Hundreds, maybe thousands of lives by doing so, both blood and plasma. Um, and we need you to educate others. Your job, I may have gotten degrees in public health education, but you're the public. It's educating the public so they can act. If you don't act, then it could, I don't want to say it's hurting the problem and making it worse, but once you learn something, you become accountable for what you know. And I hope that you guys will take this seriously and know that not only are we completely out of blood, we're all out of blood moving forward. And we go through, and we need blood more than anything else probably in the United States right now. So go give blood, guys, please.
Thank you so much, Colin. It's great to have you. Everybody, you can check out the Hype Network. You can check out our extended content, and all over the place, there'll be opportunities for you to find the different types of donation centers that you can go to help do your part. So, again, thanks again for being on the show, Colin.
And finding out your blood type, right?
And go find out your blood type. So, find out your blood type and go give blood. Thanks again. Have a good day, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Jeff.